So then I said, get a hobby! Production slave, what happened?
The Eska. He stole it.
They stole what? You useless sack of flesh! What? No, stop dying! I haven't killed you yet! God, worthless production slave. I'll deal with this myself. Good evening. I knew it was you. The only one foolish enough to steal from me. So, you think you could get away with it?
Yeah, that's right. I took it. I deserve it. Huh? What you gonna do about it, see? Yeah? Yeah?
I'll show you what I'll do. How did it taste?
Tasted great. Like paradise.
You'll know soon enough.
Totally worth it.
Obsolete opinion film reviews. Monkey and Cthulhu telling you what to view.
Greetings, human filth. Hey everybody, we're back again with another movie review. This time it's 1974's Death Wish.
Starring the ever-exciting Charles Bronson in one of his first and most critically acclaimed leading roles.
Yeah, this film really put Charles Bronson on the map. Regardless of his nice role in The Magnificent Seven, this film really helped solidify him.
Not only him, but an entire generation of films to come. There have been so many remakes and spin-offs and homages to this film over the years, but this was the one that inspired them all, and also 4 sequels.
And the weird thing is, a lot of large, huge, like we're talking monster actors have come out of this series.
Yep, to name a few, Jeff Goldblum, Denzel Washington, Christopher Guest.
Lawrence Fishburne from some of the sequels.
There's just a ridiculous amount of huge name people who actually got their start as either extras or just being uncredited in this film.
Yeah, now, there's 5 Death Wish films, and then there is the ipso facto sequel reboot, Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon. Now, we love this series, and Death Wish is one of our favorite films. So instead of talking about all of them like we did with Fright Night, we're going to be doing Death Wish itself, 2 and 4, 5 as the rest of the series, and then 3 on its own because it is not technically part of the series. And then we'll be talking about Death Sentence another time because, quite frankly, we both love that film. Death Wish is a story of a man who is pushed too far. Basically, his family is followed home after they go grocery shopping, and his wife is murdered and his daughter raped and left in a catatonic state.
Yeah, it's the first and only of the series that actually has the progression of a simple, everyday architect-type guy who gets pushed to his limits and eventually has an emotional change of heart, which leads to his snapping and trying to clean up the streets on his own. It takes its toll on him emotionally. Probably the only time throughout the series that you see, Bronson feel really badly about what he's doing. But he only gets that way through a meeting with an associate that he's designing a building for. It kind of gives him a new perspective on justice and guns in general.
Yeah, he takes him to an old western town where Paul once again is reminded of old-style western justice, which is one of those things that really is the kicker for the film. Like, how do other cities and how do other states in the U.S. deal with muggings? Like, why is New York such a hotbed for crime? Why is there so many laws against carry weapons? Of course, granted, I don't own a gun and I do not wish to, but it's one of those things that really makes you look at the ideas behind why do people carry guns? Is it okay to carry guns? How many problems have been caused, solved, or the result of guns? It's very interesting.
And also kind of makes a statement on the sheer population of the city and the fact that people in that mindset are only out for themselves. They don't really react when they see other people getting mugged or bad things happening to other people. Whereas if you have a certain type of protection or a certain mindset or a certain confidence, you can actually make a difference.
Yeah, you can see a few parts of the film when, say, for example, the subway muggers are about to mug Paul. The couple in the seats, they're looked at and intimidated away. Like, it's that contest to just see who can ignore the shit out of more. It's very everyday, because most people, when you see something happening, you turn your head and pretend it's not happening. That is reality in most cases. This is a man who was made to look at it and reacted.
Yeah, he had no choice, really. He was just immersed in the situation and had to adapt and do something about it. Now that's at the beginning. Eventually, there becomes a point where Paul Kersey believes that he's doing the right thing and starts kind of baiting out some of the muggers and trying to get mugged by setting up situations where he would seem like an easy target.
Yeah, no, Paul starts out as an innocent, but eventually he becomes a serial killer. His victims just happen to be criminals. So it's hard to say if he's a bad man because he kills bad men. And the film is directed by Michael Winner, who I think did a very good job.
Yeah, I think he did 2 other Death Wish films after, but along with a bunch more projects with Bronson himself. It was also his choice after the fact to add in the part of the film right at the beginning where Bronson and his wife are in Hawaii taking photos. Because I believe it was Bronson looking at the photos before he made the first kill that kind of drove him to do so. So it was a nice connection there that he made and a little bit more humanizing for the characters.
Yeah, I think Winner really did a good job of it. Yeah, Wendell Mays wrote Anatomy of a Murder and The Poseidon Adventure, so you could see where his more, for lack of another term, ham-handedness at plot points and character development really came in. Like, you could tell there were things that didn't need to be there, like the police officer's perpetual cold. Like, he was always sneezing, always coughing. Even during the climax of the film, he is walking out and Bronson delivers a great line to go with what's going on, and then you just see him, like, half sneeze, cough into a handkerchief. Like, that didn't need to be there.
Yeah, that was his last kind of line or impact of the whole film, was just him sneezing as he exited the door, which was a little odd. When Bronson's coming back from Arizona, Ames gives him a gift of 38 Magnum or something like that as a present to put in his luggage. And, you could only get away with that in the 70s where no one would really think twice about something like that.
Yeah, realistically, like, today, you're not getting that gun through customs. What, are you kidding me? Now, the real kicker for me on this film is the fact that it was produced by Dino De Laurentiis, which is one of those things that in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, if you wanted to have a successful film, it was touched by Dino De Laurentiis. Dune, Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, to an extent.
Maximum Overdrive, Evil Dead 2.
Sometimes they come back. Like, the list is monstrous. Dino De Laurentiis is a man that simply allows them to do more. Like, with the production values in this film, it kept everything in very isolated, so you could tell that most of the budget was eaten up renting out those areas of New York, which is crucial for this movie. Now let's talk about some of the other actors in this film. Hope Lang, a major star in her day, a relatively tiny role, but one that you wouldn't see coming for Hope Lang. I think the suggestion went something like, we got to get someone like Hope Lang, and then I believe the casting director or the director himself said, "Well, Hope Lang looks a lot like Hope Lang. Let's get her."
Yeah, and it is a great example of how much difference a production company can make on a certain project, just given little subtle changes that really make the scope of a film.
And then the son is a very atypical New York liberal, where I think there's that scene where Charles Bronson is asking about what kind of people are we where when we're confronted by danger all we do is hide, and he says civilized. Nothing he does throughout the entire movie makes you care about him.
It was more infuriating for me too when he was getting upset at Paul for trying to get on with his life and get past all the things that had been happening to him and not be as angry as he was. But for some reason, the kid really couldn't understand, and I think he was written in to make you upset.
Now, do you want to buy this film? Absolutely. If you find it in a box set with the other four, immediately buy it.
If you're not a fan of 70s type films, Death Sentence is a adequate remake. One of the few films where you actually will care about Kevin Bacon and what happens to him. But yeah, definitely check this film out. It's Bronson. It's badass.
Yeah, I have to say, Charles Bronson certainly rocks that pencil mustache like nobody's business.
I'm pretty sure he did a couple of commercials for men's hair oil and stuff like that in Japan afterwards. He was some big business back in the 70s.
Yeah, no, Charles Bronson, none bigger.
He was one of the few actors not to really gain any stardom till his mid-40s, early 50s, which is kind of gives some of the later actors a bit of hope, I guess.
Yeah, the only other people I can think of are Rodney Dangerfield and Rodney Dangerfield. So, thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, and certainly discuss.
Next week, we are doing
Beach Party with Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon and Robert Cummings.
some of the best films from the 60s were made on the beach, and we can't wait.
So that's next week. Make sure you're there, or I will devour your souls!
Yeah, that's right. I took it. I deserve it.